I've got miracles on miracles, a million.
The story that I have is one of thousands of stories on that day, September 11th. And many people don't realize that on that day, it was a combined effort of police, fire, EMS, and a host of others. And at that time in this country, it was the greatest rescue mission in history. Everyone pitched in, everyone did something, everyone went far beyond because it was a mission. And there was always hope you could find one more person. And on September 11th, I was working for someone else, and when that news thing came across the feed, and we're in the firehouse kitchen, and we saw the North Tower and those billowing smoke coming from those gaping holes, we already knew that we were going. And we were in the Sunset Park section of Brooklyn, and sure enough, in a few minutes, we were on our way to Manhattan. When we were approaching the South Tower, the second plane strikes. We were just coming out of the tunnel, and when we arrived on the scene, the debris was still falling. A horrific scene, nothing I've ever seen in my life and hope never will. And I looked up at those two gaping holes in the towers and multiple floors involved with fire. Debris everywhere, it was chaos. And the horrific sights of people choosing on their own terms to leap from the upper floors. And at that point, I had to get in to the Marriott Hotel and got our assignments. We had the 75th floor of the North Tower. And that was an objective we would never reach. And just a few minutes after we got those assignments, the South Tower collapsed on top of the Marriott Hotel, trapping us in the lobby. And it was pitch black, you couldn't see anything. It was the most violent thing I've ever experienced. When we got up, put our flashlights on, I realized that the collapse zone was less than 3 feet behind me. And we took a quick assessment who we had with us. Some began to look for a way out, and we just helped dig out these two firefighters who were trapped, and to my knowledge, they survived the second collapse. We found our way out. We come out on a West Street. There was a big opening. I didn't even recognize West Street. Vehicles just fully involved with fire. The devastation was beyond description. And out front was Chief of Department Peter Gansey, who was waving to me. There's a bunch of us at that window. We were trying to get over these injured people, get them out to go down to Liberty Street. And he motioned to me, and they told me, you got to go. He's calling you. So I went, and he sent me north toward Vesey Street. And he said, I need 4 ladder companies, a squad company, and a rescue company. Get them here ASAP. We need them. And I walked away from him having no idea, none of us did, I had less than 2 minutes. And I was in front of the North Tower, and he was just a little bit behind me, and I looked up. And as I looked at that area, like so many did, it lets go and it starts coming down. I had no doubt at that point this was the end of my life. And I turned around, I took off, made it across Vesey and across the street. There was no buildings there, there was no cover, so I had to dive behind a truck, and this debris blew past me like a hurricane. And just hearing things fall all over, and in a matter of seconds, it was a deathly quiet. I opened my eyes, it was like they were still shut, and it was just as dark as it was in the lobby when we were trapped. I couldn't see a thing, couldn't breathe. Every breath I took, it was like someone threw sawdust in my mouth. And I just remembered when that debris was blowing past, and I reminded God of that. I prayed from the 23rd Psalm. I said, Lord, you promised we'd walk through the valley of the shadow of death. We would fear no evil. I said, Lord, you promised. I had no idea I'd still be alive. I thought for sure I was going to walk through that corridor. I didn't know if I was going to be with him any second or not. And I realized I was still alive, and there's a purpose for that. And at the end of this, I thought about the rescue work that so many had done, and in the years since then. And I was reminded that not only was that the greatest combined rescue effort in the city and in this country at that time, but it reminded me of the cross of Christ, because that is the greatest rescue mission in all of world history. If you look at the cross, you have to be reminded one thing, that God so loved the world that he gave. And what he gave was life. What Christ offers anyone who calls upon him, like I did it that day, was a future and a hope. He came with a plan and a purpose. His desire not only to save the people there, but to save the cities. His love for the cities, his love for the people in every single nation has never changed. And he fills every person who believes that what he came to do is the only solution for a changed life and a future and a hope, because you begin to walk together in God's great redemption plan of love for the nations of this world. I will leave you with this thought. Since that time, 20 years, so many have gone through so many things, being well acquainted with post-traumatic stress and everything that goes with it. People losing family members, those who were dear to them. So many things have happened, but yet one thing has never changed. In all of it, God still fills me with a future and a hope for this city. He loves this city, and he had the idea long before the architects did. They built it back better than ever, but that's only the start. And I want to thank you for coming tonight. And I want you to know you're part of a historic time in history, because it's always been said, the darkest time is always just before dawn. Many people think it's getting worse, but it's not, because God has a timetable. God has billions of his sons and daughters in all of the nations speaking love, speaking a future, speaking healing, and speaking a hope to all of the people of the nations. I want to encourage you tonight. You call on Christ if you do not know him. He guarantees you not only forgiveness, not only a fresh start, not only wiping out your past, but you will have a fresh new start that has an unbreakable, immutable, and you can't darken this thing, a future and a hope to make a difference. And you will leave this world, you will meet Christ, but you will have a lasting legacy of love for the people around you. Amen. God bless you.